It's with great satisfaction that I heard that this noble academy took Jozef Piłsudski as its patron for its 11th edition. And I thank the Academy for its generous invitation to participate in today's important ceremony. And now I'm afraid I must probably break all the rules of public speaking, of which I'm no master, and have done very little of. I will now put aside my notes in light of what I heard during the first session as inadequate to the urgency of modern or present politics and to the urgency of modern European needs in its diplomacy. And while listening to the speeches and to the citations, I reflected on a small incident in comparison, but for me personally a very important one, that happened on the 15th of August 2011, when we invited the Polish Prime Minister to Sulejówek, where Jozef Piłsudski, for a short period in his life, lived in peace and quiet with his family, and where it has been decided that a museum should be erected to talk of those times. And we were preparing for that meeting, which was to decide whether the government would finance its construction. We had to find the right arguments to justify its existence. And for a meeting that was scheduled for half an hour, I presented to the Prime Minister then how we as Poles have a tendency to perceive ourselves, and as many other countries have a tendency to see us. And they see, in a modern world, they see us through how we present our culture and how we present our history. Our present presentation is based predominantly on the Museum of the Warsaw Uprising, an incredibly significant moral stand, one of enormous courage, one of enormous bravery, but also, in military terms, unfortunately, a lost battle. The Museum for the Second World War will unfortunately be also unable to present us as a victorious nation. Therefore, it's very important that we see our history in much broader terms. We see our history in terms of the last century. And I argued then that the great success that solidarity achieved at the end of the century, the enormous upheaval that it achieved with totally new methods, presents us in very, very good light in terms of history. But if we also then look at the beginning of the century and what Poland then achieved, it achieved its independence. It achieved the building of a modern state, the beginnings of our country today. It pivoted then around Jozef Piłsudski. And it's when we look at those two ends of great successes of the century, the middle then becomes a matter of survival, a matter of resilience, a matter of toughness. And as the whole century we look at it, we can then turn around and say that we've come out absolutely victorious. The beginning, however, starts with Jozef Piłsudski as the pivotal person in that history. And I think it's a small contribution that we can make to our own perception of our heritage and how we present it to others that becomes so critical, that we see ourselves as being able to win, against all odds and on our own terms, which are terms of morality and rightness. And that's, I hope, will be the contribution that we can make to both your year's education with your patron, Jozef Piłsudski, and our opening of the museum, which after not a 30-minute meeting, but a 2-hour meeting, 3 weeks later, the government, in the form of the cabinet, took a vote and gave the funding, resulting in what we hope will be the opening of the museum in 2017, on the 150th anniversary of Jozef Piłsudski's birth. But what's more important, it will be a few weeks before our centenary of our independence. Thank you.